Bones don't weaken quietly and break after years of signals you ignored. This is every bone mass increasing method, explaining exactly how bone is built and protected before it's too late to change the outcome. Bones don't grow from supplements alone, but respond to force. Resistance training is the strongest mechanical signal your skeleton understands. When you lift heavy weights, apply impact or load joints through squats, deadlifts, presses, and carries, your bones experience controlled stress. That stress creates tiny microstrains inside the bone structure. In response, osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building bone, get activated. Over time, this process increases bone mineral density, especially in load-bearing areas like the hips, spine, and legs. Progressive resistance matters more than variety. Bones adapt when the load slowly increases, not when exercises constantly change without progression. That's why consistent strength training outperforms light, high-rep routines for bone health. Even short bouts of impact, like jumping or loaded carries, can amplify the signal when done safely. The key is intensity paired with recovery. Bone remodeling is slow, but it's durable. Train smart, load gradually, and your skeleton responds by becoming denser, stronger, and more resilient over time. But other than mechanical stress, nutrition is a huge deciding factor in whether bones actually rebuild stronger. Training sends the signal, and nutrition then supplies the raw materials that actually rebuild. Bone is living tissue, constantly breaking down and reforming, and that process demands energy, protein, and nutrients every single day. When calories are too low, bone remodeling slows. The body prioritizes survival, not density. That's why chronic dieting often leads to weaker bones over time. Protein plays a bigger role than most people realize. Bones aren't just minerals, as nearly 1/3 of bone mass is protein, mainly collagen. Adequate protein intake supports the bone matrix that minerals attach to, improving overall strength and structure. Too little protein weakens this framework, even if calcium intake looks good on paper. Micronutrients also matter. Magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin K, and zinc all support bone turnover and mineral placement. Consistency beats perfection. A steady intake of enough calories and protein gives bones the chance to repair microdamage and gradually thicken. Without proper fuel, even the best training program can't protect long-term skeletal health. Even with solid nutrition, bones still need a key mineral to lock strength in place. Calcium is the backbone of bone density, but more isn't always better. Your body can only absorb a limited amount at once, which is why timing and consistency matter far more than massive single doses. Spreading calcium intake across meals improves absorption and reduces waste. Think steady supply, not overload. Dietary sources often outperform supplements. Dairy, leafy greens, fortified foods, and small fish with bones provide calcium alongside cofactors that help absorption. Supplements can help fill gaps, but they shouldn't replace food-based intake when possible. Vitamin D acts like the gatekeeper that allows calcium to move from the gut into the bloodstream and finally into bone. Another overlooked factor is balance. Excess sodium, caffeine, and very low-calorie intake can increase calcium loss through urine. That doesn't mean avoiding them entirely, just keeping intake reasonable. Strong bones come from daily habits repeated over the years. Consistent calcium intake supports bone maintenance today and protects against fractures tomorrow. But minerals don't work alone either. Hormones finalize whether calcium gets used or ignored. Vitamin D controls how much calcium your intestines absorb and how effectively that calcium is deposited into bone. Without it, calcium simply passes through the system unused. This is why people can consume enough calcium on paper, yet still develop weak bones or fractures. Sunlight is the most natural source. When skin is exposed to UVB rays, the body produces vitamin D on its own. The problem is consistency. Indoor lifestyles, sunscreen, darker skin tones, seasonal changes, and limited sun exposure all reduce natural production. Diet alone rarely supplies enough vitamin D unless foods are fortified or fatty fish is eaten regularly. Adequate vitamin D improves bone mineralization, meaning bones become denser and better structured rather than brittle. Research consistently links sufficient vitamin D levels with reduced fracture risk, especially in aging populations. Supplementation can help when sunlight is limited, but dosing should be reasonable and steady. Vitamin D works best as part of a daily routine that supports long-term skeletal strength. Once nutrients are available, it's time to decide how aggressively your body builds or breaks bone. Bones respond strongly to hormones, which act like internal messengers controlling when bone is built and when it's broken down. Testosterone supports bone density by stimulating bone-forming cells and increasing overall mineral retention. This is why low testosterone is often linked with weaker bones in men. Estrogen plays a similar role for women, protecting against excessive bone loss by slowing breakdown rates. Growth hormone and IGF-1 work together to support bone growth and repair, especially during youth but also throughout adulthood. They enhance collagen production and improve how minerals integrate into bone structure. When these hormones decline with age, bone loss accelerates unless lifestyle factors counteract it. Sleep, nutrition, and training all influence hormonal balance. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and extreme calorie restriction can suppress these signals, undermining bone health over time. Maintaining stable hormones doesn't require extremes, but what is bones aren't challenged by the right movements? Bones don't respond to only weight, they respond to force. Impact loading introduces sharp, fast stress that signals bones to reinforce themselves in ways slow lifting can't always achieve. Activities like jumping, sprinting, bounding, and quick direction changes create brief but intense forces that travel through the skeleton. Athletes in sports like basketball, soccer, gymnastics, and track consistently show higher bone density than non-impact athletes. Each landing tells the body, this structure needs to be stronger. Even short sessions can help when performed consistently. This doesn't mean reckless pounding. Progression matters. Low-level hops, jump rope, short sprints, or agility drills can be enough to stimulate adaptation without excessive injury risk. Impact loading works best when layered on top of strength training, not replacing it. When bone loss becomes severe or age-related decline accelerates, lifestyle alone may not be enough. This is where medical interventions enter the picture. Certain peptides and prescription therapies are designed to slow bone breakdown or stimulate new bone formation under clinical supervision. These are not performance tools, but medical responses to real risk. Therapies like parathyroid hormone analogues can actively stimulate bone formation, while other medications reduce bone resorption to preserve existing mass. In some aging or postmenopausal patients, doctors may consider peptide-based or hormone-related treatments to reduce fracture risk and improve structural strength. These options come with strict criteria, dosing protocols, and monitoring. Long-term safety, side effects, and individual health status all matter. That's why they're reserved for specific cases, not general use. For most people, training, nutrition, hormones, and impact exposure do the heavy lifting. Medical tools exist for when those systems can no longer keep up on their own. There are a bunch of other fine-tuners you can keep in mind. Bone health is also determined in the kitchen. It's shaped by daily habits that either support long-term remodeling or slowly tear it down. Sleep sits at the top of that list. Deep sleep is when growth hormone and bone repair processes peak. Alcohol works in the opposite direction of bone building. Frequent heavy drinking interferes with calcium absorption and suppresses osteoblast activity, the very cells responsible for forming new bone. Stress adds another layer. Constant cortisol elevation shifts the body toward breakdown, not rebuilding. Then there's inactivity. Long periods of sitting, minimal movement, and low mechanical stress signal the body that strong bones aren't needed. Which daily habit do you think matters most for protecting bone strength long term? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.